with SRN News. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The deadline passes for the Trump administration to ask the Supreme Court to reconsider its ruling on birthright citizenship.
The Trump administration had until Tuesday to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider its June decision, which struck down President Donald Trump's executive order to deny automatic citizenship to children born in the U.S. whose parents are in the country temporarily or illegally. Trump had promised to push for a rehearing shortly after the High Court handed him his loss. The White House has not responded to messages seeking comment. Donna Warder, Washington.
At the Columbia, South Carolina funeral for Senator Lindsey Graham today, former House Representative Trey Gowdy disputed the notion that Graham never met a war he didn't like, and that the senator went to Ukraine before his death for a good reason.
Was he willing to go to war? Yes, as a last resort. Blessed are the peacemakers. He was on a trip, what turned out to be his last trip, trying to broker peace in a war where hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives.
The senator died suddenly on July 11th in Washington, likely from an aortic tear. He was 71. The Federal Reserve left its key interest rate unchanged Wednesday, although three officials dissented in favor of higher rates as the central bank wrestles with how to deal with persistently high inflation. The Fed's rate-setting committee reached its decision after 2 days of deliberations, marking the fifth straight meeting at which the benchmark rate was kept at around 3.6%. The Dow was down by 1,153 points today. The Nasdaq dropped 433. The S&P declined 112. This is SRN News. A liberal group has some advice for Democrats.
With the midterm elections looming, the Center for American Progress has issued a statement encouraging politicians to steer clear of social issues. Specifically, the CAP is arguing that lawmakers have no right to ban men from using women's restrooms or locker rooms, nor should they prevent them from playing on women's sports teams or bar children from getting sex change operations. Some political analysts say that's about the worst advice the Democrats could possibly be given. Michael Harrington reporting.
The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has unanimously elected Asif Mahmood and C.C. Heil chairman and vice chairman for the 2026-2027 term. Mahmood says threats to international religious freedom are occurring every day, making the Commission's mandate to analyze and recommend policy solutions to the U.S. government key to advancing religious freedom abroad. This is SRN News.
Put one in your basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, or anywhere you want clean, fresh air. It even includes a USB cord for your car or truck. Right now, save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. That's 3 units for under $200, a fraction of the cost compared to other air purifiers. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use discount code USA3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. Use USA and the number 3. Shipping is free.
If you want to continue to be one of those uninformed voters, uninformed people in this world, then change the channel because they're going to give you information you can work with.
They got human excrement running all around the place.
Your home smells of feces.
Yes.
People peeing in the streets.
Ooh, do you smell something?
Needles in the streets.
These are not tears. We are vomiting from our eyes.
And yet, what they're worried about? The words you use to call criminals. Because there's a certain stigma they don't want criminals to have to deal with.
Could we talk about something else?
I'm going to give you information that's going to make you have to make a decision, have to do something about what's going on in this country.
Something resembling anything.
If you want to get involved in the conversation, 855-REAL-JOE, 855-732-5563. Check out my classic podcast. There's so much going on the website, but do something. Get involved.
The Joe Messina Show.
We are back at it again. Joe Messina, your host. Always a pleasure to have you with me. 855-REAL-JOE, 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged, be part of the solution. And I really do appreciate the time, right? that you're with us, that you're working with us, you're trying to make things work, trying to make things different, trying to change things. That's always good. Right? Seriously. So, again, if you were paying attention to all that stuff going down with Fauci, I mean, hopefully it infuriated you, like it did many of us. 855-REAL-JOE, 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged. Truly be part of the solution. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stories I want to get to. Don't know if I'm going to, but I'm going to try. A couple of the idiotic things that you keep seeing coming out of people like Bernie Sanders. And one of the things I said about him early on, love him or hate him, he tells you what's going on. He told you how he's going to turn his country into a socialist country. How Cuba was better and Russia was better. Right? He became one of the most influential and divisive politicians in modern American history. For decades, remember, Sanders, he attacked billionaires. He attacked anybody who had $2 more in his wallet than he had. He attacked Wall Street. He attacked the big corporations. He attacked them all. Right? And then he attacked the political establishment, the one that he was part of. So he built this bit of a national following as a Democrat socialist. Wants to distribute wealth, right? Wants universal health care, free college, and expanded government powers. He became a voice of the working class, comrade. Right? And you have to laugh at this stuff. You know why? First of all, the man never had a job. I mean, he had a job that he basically got fired from. Then he's been working for the government ever since. Or with the government or whatever. And again, he's now become the symbol of political hypocrisy, right? Condemning wealth, becoming wealthy himself. He's got what, three homes worth well over $1 million each. He attacks corruption while aligning himself with establishment Democrats that are known to be corrupt. Right? And then he's hanging around with the people that want the government to have more control, a lot more control over people, their activities, their money, what they own, what they don't own. Just amazing. So, do your own homework. Find out truly what he's like, what he truly is like. Anyhow, 855-REAL-JOE, 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged. Like I said, Dan Pill is going to join us after the break. I'm sure you have a lot of questions for him, or I would anyway. I will. I'm loving on Rand Paul too lately. I'm not a big fan or disliker of him either. And he is really miffed at Fauci and how Fauci has dealt with everything. I don't know if you caught it today, but Fauci's attorney wouldn't shut his mouth. Now, he was allowed to sit there, in the room, but then he wouldn't stop talking. And, again, these guys think they have a right to do whatever they want to. That's because the Democrats have let them get away with it for so long. And as Rand Paul was asking questions, it's hilarious. Because the attorney kept answering, and he's looking at, Fauci go, no, the subpoena's for you. The answers need to come from you. Nobody could get that. And, well, he didn't get it anyway. Anyway, 855-REAL-JOE, 855-732-5563. And I do appreciate the time you're spending with me. Anyhow, I can't stand when we're given misinformation, like with Sanders, when we're given misinformation, right? Think about it. Think about what that man has filled you with, and now he's out being one of them. It doesn't seem to bother him at all. Anyway, yes, a lot of stuff. What I love is this, what's her name? New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill. Yeah, she's not giving any information to the federal government, especially on the illegals. Okay, well, you just admitted there were illegals, right? You just admitted you had over 6,000 of them on the rolls that actually, that probably voted. I'll put it that way. Because I don't have the paperwork in front of me. I can't tell you. Government believes and feels that a lot more than that voted. And they want to see the paperwork. So why are they afraid to show it to them? I just don't understand. Laura Ingraham was there with Fauci today, which was really hilarious. I'm sorry, but it was. Now, she sat there through hours of this testimony from Fauci, right? They were asking about his actions during COVID-19. Didn't answer a question. And I hope they do. I hope they take it all the way. I hope they nail his backside to the wall. Ingram was sitting a few seats behind Fauci. And man, she just was miserable. Joe Messina, your host. Don't go far. A lot more coming up after the break.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 off your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each pure ground burger, so you can sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com, use promo code TREAT at checkout, and get $20 off the Burger Perfection Flight and discover your new burger obsession. Minimum order may be required.
You've been working hard, doing the right thing, and paying your taxes, and putting your hard-earned money in the Medicare piggy bank all your life. And now it's time to break the piggy bank and get something back. Medicare. If you didn't know it, Medicare is health insurance for people over 65, and you've paid for it with your tax dollars. Medicare plans now have more benefits than ever. That's good news, especially if you're like me and looking forward to paying as little as possible for good health insurance. Call and find out what Medicare plan is best for you. Save your time. It's valuable. We've already done the research for you, and in one quick phone call, you can learn how to get the best Medicare plan designed exactly for you. Hey, it's one of the most important decisions in your life. Let us help you through it. Here's our number. Call 65 Plus Medicare now. 800-778-8214. 800-778-8214. That's 800-778-8214. Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-504-1123. 800-504-1123. 800-504-1123. That's 800-504-1123.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour.
I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PHIL25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PHIL25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PHIL25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PHIL25.
Attention timeshare owners. Tired of the financial stress? Were you misled by the salesperson? Don't or can't use your timeshare anymore? If any of these apply to you, then you may qualify for timeshare cancellation and get the relief you need now. Timeshare Defense Attorneys is the #1 affordable fixed fee legal solution in the country with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. That's certainly better than my grades. They even offer a 100% client satisfaction guarantee. Let one of their experienced lawyers evaluate your case and explain the process. If they take you as a client, they'll work on your case until it's resolved in your favor, guaranteed. Expect great service and a close working relationship with your lawyer, keeping you informed every step of the way, protecting your rights, interests, and even your credit. It's that simple. Even a kid like me could understand it. The consultation is free. Call today.
800-875-1853. 800-875-1853. That's 800-875-1853.
Never mind, dear. Chin up. That's right, both of them. Yeah.
We are back at it again, as usual. Joe Messina, your host. Always appreciate the time that you're spending with us here on the air, in the chat room, texting, tweeting, and being part of the conversation. Remember, there's a couple of ways to get the show if you're driving down the road at a new radio station. I've done a couple of things to make it easier and cheaper for you, because some of you complain you don't want to waste your video, your data, that kind of data. So it's real simple. GoJoeRadio.com. GoJoeRadio.com. It's a straight audio feed. That way you can hear the show and enjoy. And then there's GoJoeTV.com. Yeah, I'll get it right. GoJoeTV.com. And there you also have a chat room where there's smarter people than myself in the chat room, which always works out well. All right, anyhow, look, I'm not the guy to take tax and or financial information from, but this guy is. Dan Pilla, the tax man. You can find him at Tax Help Online. He's on about every other week, trying to give you information so you don't get in trouble with the IRS. You don't get stupid with the IRS. You do the right thing. And Dan, thanks for being with me as usual.
That's my pleasure, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I honestly enjoy our time so much because I learned so much from you. And I've had people write me, and even some people local that have heard the show will tell me, man, I learned so much from listening to that. I said, good, buy the books. Then buy the books. Get real information. Yeah. Well, you're so right. You told me a long time ago, and I thought it was so funny. And you know how you kind of check people by talking with them? Small business owners, they don't want to know about taxes. They don't want to know about accounting. You know what they want to know? They want to know how to fix your leak. They want to know how to get your electricity working again, right? They want to know how to make your solar working again. And they get nailed with so many of these stupid little, what do you want to call them, regulations from the IRS. And the biggest one is mileage.
Yeah, no question, Joe. And it's not just mileage. I mean, you can go down the list, but anybody that's not an accountant is not an accountant because they didn't want to be an accountant. They wanted to be a plumber. They wanted to be an electrician. They wanted to be a lawyer. They wanted to be a doctor. Whatever. Just go down the list. They're not accountants because they didn't want to be accountants. But if you have a pulse in the United States of America, and you're earning income in some way, there are certain hoops you got to jump through, and you don't have an option. It's not an alternative. And if you're a small business, you've got dozens and dozens of hoops you have to jump through, particularly if you want to take advantage of the deductions that are available that reduce your tax liability. Now, you can have the best CPA in the world, Joe, but if you're not doing the fundamental day-to-day work of the proper record keeping. You mentioned mileage. If you're not keeping the records of your mileage, the best accountant in the world can't help you cook up deductions that you can't prove.
No, you're right. I mean, but I have some of these guys. Look, Dan, I like to play with you too on this stuff. I've got a couple of guys that have their own, pickup truck. They're electricians. You know how it goes, right? And
sure.
They'll say, oh, I use my truck mostly for work. I go mostly. What is mostly? 51%, 71%. 85%. What is mostly? Well, I run to the store if I have to run to the store, pick up the kids from school, but most of the time I've got equipment and stuff in it. I said, I'm not the expert, but if you're sitting across from an IRS agent in his office and he asks you the question, you go, I don't know, sometimes I pick up the kids and stuff, you're done. You have to have some information.
Here's what will happen, Joe. When you've got a mixed-use vehicle, a car or a truck that you're using partially for business and partially for personal,
right?
Then the presumption is going to be that vehicle is used all the time for personal purposes and never for business purposes. Now then, the responsibility falls to you to demonstrate what percentage of the vehicle is used for business and what's for personal. So you're sitting across the table from the agent, and you say, well, I use it mostly for business. The agent's going to say two words, Joe. Prove it. All right, I'm sure you'd use your truck a lot for business. I have no doubt. But you have to prove it. And if you don't have the documents to prove it, then they're just going to disallow it. Now, if you've got a vehicle that's obviously a single-use type of vehicle, let's say, for example, you got a dump truck, well, you don't pick up the kids from school in the dump truck, right? If you got one of those great big panel trucks that electricians and plumbers use, and they got 4,582 parts in the truck, and there's only one seat in the truck because everything else is taken up with, all their spare parts and their tools and their equipment, and their ladders are stacked up on the top and all the rest of that. Well, that's clearly a single-use vehicle, and you don't necessarily have to keep a mileage log to prove that because the vehicle itself is not susceptible to personal use. But anytime you got just a garden variety pickup truck or a garden variety van, and you got some tools and equipment in there, and you run around with business for business with it, but you also go to the grocery store, you also pick up the kids at school, you also occasionally take your wife out to dinner in that vehicle. That is a mixed-use vehicle, and now you have to prove the business use.
That's interesting. All right, so because I know people have the same situation. We have two cars. We have a strictly family car, and then I have a car too. But I mean, 95% of the time, my car is going to I'm going to an event, I'm going to whatever. And you're right. Once in a while, I make a run to the grocery store to get some more pizza dough or something like that, and come home again.
Sure.
That is the chink in the armor, so to speak, is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, when it's mixed use, admittedly mixed use, then you have an affirmative duty to prove what the business use percentage is. And the way you figure that out is you keep track of your total mileage. So let's say your total mileage over the course of just make the math simple, over the course of a year is 10,000 miles, and you keep your mileage log demonstrating specifically what your business travel is, and you demonstrate through your mileage log that you've got 7,000 miles of those 10,000 that are used for business, well, that's a 70% business use. That means all the expenses associated with the vehicle are deductible to the tune of 70%. So if you spend $1,000 on gas, you get to write off $700. If the vehicle is it costs $100 to license it, you write off 70 of it. So that's how the business use percentage works. But you can't pull that number out of the air, and too many small businesses do that. And the thing about it, Joe, is for a lot of small businesses, and I don't know what the percentage is, but a great number of small businesses, the largest deduction they have on their business tax return is vehicle mileage, and you run the risk of losing that if you're not keeping the proper records.
Interesting. That is very interesting because I can't imagine people running around on a regular basis. Is there software that tracks that? Is there a phone app that tracks it? Because I can't imagine they have a hard enough time putting receipts in the right place. For God's sakes.
Yeah, that's true. And you can have a mileage log that you enter manually a notebook in the car, for example. On Monday morning, I drove to meet this client, and then I went from that client's office to the next client's office, and then I went from there and met a contractor for lunch, that sort of thing.
But you got to mark the miles, though, right?
There's all kinds of software programs now that do that.
All right, we got. Now you got me intrigued. We got to go for a quick break. Be back in a minute. Don't go far. A lot more coming up on the Joe Messina Show.
Attention homeowners. It's not if something's going to break, it's when. That's home ownership. If your dryer, your refrigerator, or your AC and heating breaks, that's an expensive call. And who do you call? Make it easy on yourself and call Choice Home Warranty. We've already done the research and have access to 25,000 technicians that can be at your home quickly. We've covered close to 2 million homes in the United States. There's a good chance your neighbors work with us. Call us right now before the next breakdown. We'll tell you everything that's covered in your home and give you the first month free with our ironclad 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and learn how to get your free month.
800-378-2250. 800-378-2250. 800-378-2250. That's 800-378-2250.
Limitations and exclusions apply. First month free with purchase of single plan. Visit choicehomewarranty.com for more details.
Life is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. But here's one thing you can control. Making sure your loved ones are protected if the unexpected happens. At easyplans.com, we make getting life insurance, well, easy. In just a few minutes, you can apply online and buy direct. No awkward phone calls, no confusing jargon, and no agent will contact you unless you request help. Just clear, affordable coverage, designed to fit your life and your budget. Fast approval, flexible plans, and unlike other online insurance sites, Easy Plans won't sell your information to others. So no endless phone calls and text messages. Whether you're just starting a family, buying a home, or thinking ahead, EasyPlans.com has you covered. EasyPlans.com. We make buying life insurance, well, easy.
News. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The deadline passes for the Trump administration to ask the Supreme Court to reconsider its ruling on birthright citizenship.
The Trump administration had until Tuesday to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider its June decision, which struck down President Donald Trump's executive order to deny automatic citizenship to children born in the U.S. whose parents are in the country temporarily or illegally. Trump had promised to push for a rehearing shortly after the high court handed him his loss. The White House has not responded to messages seeking comment. Donna Warder, Washington.
At the Columbia, South Carolina funeral for Senator Lindsey Graham today, former House Representative Trey Gowdy disputed the notion that Graham never met a war he didn't like and that the senator went to
and landslides across the western part of the island.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're going to be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PHIL25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PHIL25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PHIL25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PHIL25.
Never mind, dear. Chin up. That's right, both of them. Yeah.
We are back at it again. Joe Messina, your host. Always a pleasure to have you with me. Send me an email if you've got any questions. Joe@joemessina.com. Joe@joemessina.com. You can always find us. I made some changes to make it easier for you guys, so you stop complaining. Try it. GoJoeTV.com. GoJoeTV.com. And that's video. GoJoeRadio.com gets you the strictly audio side of it, which is what many of you have asked for because you don't want to eat up all that data stream. And nowadays, there's so much data that comes across for little money. It's just the agency came out in criticism for the high error rates and the answers that they get from those telephone assisters. You had once told me, and maybe I misunderstood you, that you can't use that information as a reason for why you screwed up your taxes, correct?
Well, it depends on the situation, Joe. First of all, if you get wrong information from the IRS and that wrong information and you act on that information and it leads to additional taxes and penalties, you still owe the tax. All right? There's no question about that. The simple fact that you got wrong advice from the IRS doesn't mean you don't owe the tax. Because think about this for a minute. If you did it right, you would have owed the tax and paid the money, right? And so you make a mistake in your favor, and the IRS catches it. Now they say, oh, no, that's wrong. You owe us $1,000. You say, well, wait a minute. You gave me the advice. Well, that's true. We gave you the advice, and that has an impact on penalties and interest, but it does not have an impact on the tax liability. You still owe the tax liability. Now, if you can demonstrate that you sought and received the advice from the IRS, that you provided all the essential information to the IRS that they used to give you the advice. In other words, you didn't give them false facts or withhold important facts. You gave them all the true facts, and then you acted on the advice they gave you. Yes, you owe the tax, but you don't owe the penalties and the interest.
All right, Dan. But so I get this notice that I screwed up, and I write them a letter and say, hey, I talked to this guy or agent on such and such a day, and he told me to do this, and that's why I did that. Do you have to have more proof than that? I mean, what do you need?
Well, what you need to do is come to your senses and not ask the IRS for advice in the first place, because we know the error rates are high, and we know that they don't always assimilate the facts properly. But if you did that, here's what you would need. You would need very clear notes in your file that show the date and time that you called, the phone number that you called, the name of the person you talked to, and they will give you a name, and then the employer, the employee number, their so-called badge number. It's not called a badge number, but it's their employee number, and they will give you that as well. And then you have to write down as accurately as humanly possible the question that you asked and the information that you gave them, and then write down the answer that you received. All right. Now, if you have a contemporaneous memorandum that shows all of that information, you will have sufficient proof that you called the IRS and asked for their advice.
Interesting. I mean, it's interesting because then you're writing down, for all intents and purposes, you're writing down what you perceived you said to them and what you perceived they said back to you. So it's somewhat subjective, is it not?
Well, it's not. It's not subjective in the sense that you are recording in written form exactly what you said to them. In other words, I'd write it out. Well, first of all, I wouldn't call them, but if you're inclined to call them, write it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
Sit down at your computer and type it out word for word, the facts of your case that you're going to read to the phone assister, and the very specific question that you're asking, and then write down the answer that you give. But Joe, by the time you go to all the effort and all the time it takes to write down all of the facts and write down the question that you're asking, can't you go to the Google machine and query the Google machine and have a better chance, especially if you're using some reasonable AI tool? Don't you have a better chance of getting an accurate response?
You're the guy in the business. If you say so, I don't trust Google at all. But
well, I mean,
I know what you mean, though.
Here's what the problem is. Anytime you're using these kind of devices to get help, you as a layperson have no independent way of verifying the accuracy of what you're being told. Now, at least with certain AI applications, you can put in as part of your query, give me primary source material references for your answer. And then you can go and check the primary source material and see if the primary source material supports the answer that the AI application is giving you. And you'll get my guess is you'll get an accurate answer. But look, I've been using AI for research for a while now. Not a long time, but probably 8-10 months, maybe going on a year, for research. And it's remarkably efficient for research. Yep. Because when you ask the right question, or let me put it this way: when you ask a question and then ask the AI application to give you primary source reference material to support the answer, and then you go check the primary source reference material, now you're getting right to the core of the nuts and bolts that you need to know to make a decision whether to zig or zag.
Yeah, it was funny because when I was running for office, knowing that somebody's going to use AI on me, I actually went down that road, and I said, I'm running against a guy by the name of Joe Messina in so-and-so and such and such. What should I say? What could I write to keep him out of office? And I will tell you what, it was the queen of spin. It was great. So I could see how they're going to come after me. Anyway, it is an interesting thing, and I asked it to prove it, to your point, and there were several items that it just couldn't prove. And it even basically said, oops, I made a mistake. But also, you had mentioned, and your article mentions it as well, is that what started off, I guess, 1.3 million words, or pretty close to, is now up to over 4 million words.
What I was doing is comparing the size of the Internal Revenue Code in 2000, so basically 26 years ago, compared to what it is now. And 26 years ago, the size of the code was roughly 1.3 million words. Now we're north of 4 million words. After 26 years of tax simplification, we've got a tax code that's 3 times the size that it was.
Oh, God. Do you find in your practice, it, as you're looking something up to help somebody out or going through something to help somebody out, that you actually find codes that may contradict each other?
Well, what happens is not so much direct contradictions, but what you have is such a vast body of law that the separate elements of the law contradict each other. Now let me give you an example. You got, when we say the Internal Revenue Code, I'm talking about the statutes that are written by Congress that are in what's called Title 26 of the United States Code. That's the law passed by Congress. That says X. Now, the IRS comes behind that and writes regulations that are supposed to put the law into application. Right? They don't get to write new laws. They get to write procedures that put the law into effect that Congress wrote. All right, so you got the law, you got the regulations. Sometimes those are contradictory. All right, now, in addition to the laws, you got the IRS's revenue rulings and revenue procedures. Revenue rulings is the guidance that the IRS issues in fact-specific cases. All right, and so the revenue rulings can differ from the regulations, which can differ from the statutes. Now you got revenue procedures. The revenue procedures are the step-by-step processes that the IRS will use to carry out different elements of the Internal Revenue Code. So, for example, in the Internal Revenue Code, you got a law that says if you're an innocent spouse, you get relief, and here are the basic background. Now you look at the revenue procedures; they tell you how to go about to get that innocent spouse relief, and the revenue procedures are can be vastly different from the outline of the statutes. And now, okay, so now you go from revenue procedures, Joe. Now you got court decisions, and the court decisions can come along and say all of that stuff is wrong.
Oh my God! Okay, wonderful. We're gonna go for a break so I can go throw up and try to get my head back together again. Joe Messina, your host. Don't go far. Dan Pill will still be with us when we return.
picked up a towel set because it felt really soft in the store. But then when you go to use it, it's not very absorbent. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels. Towels that work. The 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code USA. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special and enter promo code USA or call 800-951-8175. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code USA.
Take as little as 3 minutes to see if you could save on motorcycle insurance with Progressive. Come on, you've spent more time than that trying to name your bike.
How about the Crusher? I guess it's not really crushing anything. The Silver Bolt? No. Oh, what about Pepper? Mysterious. Is it a pet or a condiment? Surprise! It's a motorcycle. No, that's stupid.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Do you have a story to tell? Bring your story to life with audiobooks. Great stories deserve great storytelling. Audiobook Network provides professional voice actors and full production services for every author's manuscript. From narration, production, and editing to distribution, promotion, and sales, Audiobook Network handles everything. If you have a print book, ebook, or even a manuscript, call Audiobook Network now and get our free audiobook guide. 800-734-1229. 800-734-1229.
I'd like to introduce you to our new sponsor, Get the Tea. Get the Tea carries all natural, non-GMO organic teas and supplements made in the USA. Get the Tea's ingredients are the purest available. My favorite is Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is a gentle daily...
In months, not years. Listen, you'll be carrying around credit card in months, not years. Listen, you'll be carrying around credit card debt for the rest of your life unless you deal with it right now. We offer a free consultation so you can learn how you can finally wipe out your credit card debt and start saving money. Give us a free call right now.
Call Debt Solutions Network now. 866-451-3328. 866-451-3328. That's 866-451-3328.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you test and inject daily, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-471-7065. 800-471-7065. 800-471-7065. That's 800-471-7065.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-362-9337. 800-362-9337. That's 800-362-9337.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Feel the rhythm now. We should be singing together, you and me. All night, holding hands and moving our feet. We should be singing together, you and me. Come on, baby. We should be singing together, you and me. All night, holding hands and moving our feet.
We're back at it again. Joe Messina, your host. Always a pleasure to have you with me. 855-REAL-JOE. 855-732-5563. Got Dan Pillar with me. Dan Pillar, the tax man. You can find him at taxhelponline.com. Taxhelponline.com. And Dan, I've also had people ask me, what do they call them now? Side jobs, gigs, whatever they're calling them.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
Side
That's
hustle,
what they're
yeah,
called.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Right.
Yep.
And a lot of these guys, they just try to pick up a few extra bucks, whether it's for gas or a trip or a vacation or whatever. and it's usually not big bucks. Now, I know you have to track it, but is there anything that you watch out for with these side hustles that, so I'm using my phone to do business. I'm using the electricity in my house to sit there at my kitchen table to lay the plans out on. What are some of the acceptable things you can do so you don't get in trouble?
Well, first of all, tracking mileage, like we talked about earlier in the program. Right. I mean, that's the obvious thing. If you got a separate phone, for example, that you needed for your side hustle for this reason or that reason, just to keep it separate, that certainly would be.
That was good. That was exciting. Let's see. Let's see if I can grab me, because you know what happens. If you're a guy like me and you got big fat cheeks, you end up hanging up by accident, and maybe that's either he hung up by accident, or I said something to teed him off. But I doubt I teed him off. It's very hard. Anyway, look, it's Dan Pilla Online. Dan Pilla Online, and the thing about it is this. He truly is. If you read the story online, he truly is the tax man. Okay.
6.
And he wrote the book. He literally wrote the book on how to deal with the tax people. And that's why, I bring him on. I talk with him. I like it when he's with us. He sent me an email, joe@joemessina.com. joe@joemessina.com. Always appreciate your time with me as well. But he's right. When you call the IRS, you got to track it, man. I mean, some of you don't like to track things that closely, but you got to track it. Because if you don't, then you don't know. You have no clue as to what to tell somebody when they try to charge you those fines and those penalties or whatever. And he was right. At least in that way, you'd be able to say, hey, I talked to so-and-so and such and such. And this is the day I do that, but I do that pretty much with anything I'm doing that I think can come back and bite me in any way. Oh, you betcha. I write it down. I look at the phone when I'm done to see how long I actually talked, with that person. So it's the same thing with the IRS. As much as you think because you dialed that 800 number, everything is fine and okay, it's not. And remember, every incorrect answer that the IRS gives you has consequences. Every one of them. Right? It can result in a delinquent return, improperly filled out return. You appearing that you were trying to get a break on something you'd have no right to get a break on. Right? The Americans call the IRS, for one reason. They need help. They're honestly trying to comply with the law. During fiscal year 2025, taxpayers placed a total, you ready for this one, of 66 plus million calls to the IRS, to their assistance line. This is not the other line. This is the assistance line, right? And they're not looking for loopholes or ways to evade taxes. They simply want to know what the law requires of them. A significant number of these taxpayers were given answers that were inaccurate or incomplete, and thank God they kept track. Is anyone surprised? I'm not surprised. Right, Dan goes on to say, I've long argued that tax laws must be understandable if people are expected to follow them. You shouldn't have to pick up the phone for every line of taxes that you're filling out. And when these people are going through this stuff, when they're trying to figure out what's happening, seriously, it should be pretty plain, simple English. At least I think. In my feeble little mind. Not everybody, it's really funny. He's got a number. I should know these by heart by now. But he's got a number that talks about how many people are in compliance. That collections are voluntary. People are paying their bill. It's a very small number of people who fight it to the point where they don't want to pay the bill. Their tax. I don't want to pay the tax bill at all, but you got stuff. So anyhow, make sure Dan Pilla Online. I'm sorry, Tax Help Online. It's taxhelponline.com. You need to head over there, check it out. In all seriousness, check it out. And make sure you got the information, not just the information you need, but proper information you need. Okay? Don't you love it? It really, man, it's a nightmare. When you get this wrong, it's a mega nightmare. Anyhow. All right. Yeah, I got more. Relax. I was expecting you to do this for the whole hour, and not be stuck trying to find something. All right, where is it? Don't you love it? Put my glasses on, figure things out. All right, come on. You were there. I hate computers. So we'll talk a little bit more about Fauci. I mean, everybody else is. I might as well too. Don't even know what that is. All right. You had, what was his name? Not Hawley. It's Senator Bernie Moreno. That was it. He actually dropped an F-bomb right there on the floor. He was so mad. And he was mad at Fauci because Fauci's pleading the fifth. I know we have a right of freedom of speech, but I guess the question is, should a government employee who's doing what this guy is doing, who caused the murders, the killings, the death of these people. I mean, in all sincerity, should he be allowed to plead the fifth? He's already got immunity. Why does he need to plead the fifth would be the question. So anyhow, I wouldn't let him. I'd say no. Look, you can't go to jail. You can tell us you killed 15 people. You can't go to jail. So why don't you just spew it out, get it out on the table, get it over with. HHS Secretary RFK Jr., he responded to Fauci's disgraceful performance today. Health and Human Services Secretary, he was mad. He avowed nemesis of Dr. Anthony Fauci Jr. said that he's weighed in on the ongoing hearing involving the wicked doctor, emphasizing wicked. Went on to say, as the Gateway pundit's Jim Holt reported, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the former director in face of America's disastrous COVID response, he finally appeared under subpoena Wednesday morning before the Senate. Now, the hearing titled Testimony of Anthony Fauci began at 8:30 a.m., right? And I think, I don't know how long it was. The hearing comes after Paul's released Fauci's diary package over the weekend, which showed a bizarre yet charismatic obsession with fame. Even as the death toll from the pandemic around him grew, he was more interested in what shows he was going to be on, right? He refused to testify, pleaded the fifth, right out the gate. Didn't care. At one point, after Senator Paul finished his questioning, Fauci's attorney took over the hearing. Paul had to have him removed because he wouldn't shut up. Fauci wouldn't even answer basic questions. Remember, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he was asked, what color tie are you wearing? Wouldn't answer the question. What color is the carpet on the floor? Wouldn't answer the question. Just amazing. Anyway, in his diary, dear diary, if I plead the fifth, will I still be famous? That's what RFK wrote. He also posted a meme of himself next to Fauci holding handcuffs as the National Institute of Health Director Jay Bhattacharya holds on Innocent Beagle. That's funny, though, if you think about it. The PETA people didn't get involved when he was killing humans. But when he was killing these animals or just really treating these animals badly, right? All of a sudden, they were all over him, making a big deal out of it. The meme is